And as I said, we are looking at Cami today. It's a really powerful tool. In fact, I had done a couple trainings about Cami a couple of years ago, but then I stopped when I realized that it is a freemium tool and the free version is quite limited. But for now, Cami is basically offering everybody the full version for 60 days. Basically, it gets us up to about June 20th, enough time to get you through the end of the school year. So you and your students will be able to have full access to the tools in Cami for the remainder of this semester. Welcome, Starlight. We'll put the resource document in the chat and also the link to get the extension for Cami so that you can install it and hopefully try it out today with us during this session. It does have a few accessibility tools built in, primarily a dictionary that your students can use. That's kind of an inline dictionary with the documents, and also a text to speech so that they can have the information on the document read out loud to them. I have not yet had a chance to try it to see if it works in other languages. I suspect it is only able to read English aloud. This slide deck does actually have navigation in it for you so that after you leave here today, you can jump to whatever part of the information you would like. And this little home icon will bring you back to this navigation page anytime you see it. Typically what will happen is there'll be several slides on creating assignments. And then at the end of that section, you'll see the home icon and that will bring you right back here so that you can jump to the section you want to go to. This works best if you put the slide deck in full screen. It can be done when you don't have it in full screen, but it does work better if you go ahead and put it into full screen. So as some of you heard when we first started today, for those of you who got in a little bit earlier, the first thing we're going to want to do is install that extension. And we've put the link in the chat, but I also have it in the slide deck, so it's okay. You don't have to worry about losing it because it is part of your slide deck for you. Excuse me. And so once you have installed it in Chrome, so this is not something you're going to be using in Safari or Internet Edge or anything like that. You're going to use this in Chrome. Once you have installed it, it will appear in your extensions area. And you may not have very many extensions. It might be your first one. Welcome, Starlight. We'll put the resource document and the link to get the Chrome extension in the chat for you. So and, all of these
Nicole, pardon the interruption.
Yes. Yes.
Maria did ask, and I asked for clarification. She was concerned that if we have access for 60 days, after that 60 days, what happens to those materials or other things that we've created?
Those should be fine. You just won't be able to create and distribute new ones. Okay. That's my understanding.
Does that clear it up, Maria?
So we will have access to the materials we created within this 60 days, right?
Yeah, you'll have access and you'll still be able to see the student work, but you won't be able to reassign them like next year for students to have full access unless you've chosen to purchase a copy of the license.
Perfect, thank you.
So extensions are mini programs that operate within your Chrome browser to let Chrome do things it doesn't do automatically. For example, a lot of you have learned about the Screencastify extension. You click a button, it records your screen while you talk. So Cami is one of those extensions. You run an extension by clicking on it and it shows up in your Chrome browser, but it is attached to your Chrome or Google account that is using the Chrome browser at that moment. So that's where this picture, or if you've never associated a picture, it will be the first initial of your name. This little circle is really important. If you open up Chrome and you start to try to make a Cami assignment and you don't see Cami, click here and make sure it's your San Juan account. That happened to me the other day, right? I have already installed it. I was going to do it. I was going to do another practice with myself to make sure I was comfortable, and Cami wasn't there. And sure enough, the Chrome, even though I was signed into Portal and signed into Google Classroom, Chrome was signed into my Gmail account. So I needed to click on it in order to switch accounts. So it is tied to the account that is signed into Chrome. So you'll want to install it. And then again, as it says here, make sure you sign in with Google and then choose your San Juan account. This will be true for your students as well. They will need to sign in with Google and choose their San Juan account. And then it prompts you to create an assignment. So here's where I'm going to give a little bit of explanation. In theory, if you have a PDF from a publisher, for example, And you don't need or want to add any additional explanation, comments, anything like that. You could just click immediately on Create Google Classroom Assignment and get that PDF from either your hard drive or your Google Drive and push it out to them, and then they can use the Kami tools to type on it. I will show you a sample today of how you might want to use the Kami tools first to create the assignment and add in some support for your learners in terms of audio instructions and so on. And then when you're done creating it, go back to the extension to create it with Google Classroom. So we'll talk about that a little bit today. And when you see the example, I think that will become a little bit more clear, but you could just push out a PDF with no additional, text or audio or video support from you, in which case you can click Create Google Classroom Assignment and find the PDF and you're good to go. But I think as you'll see today, you might want to add in some support, especially the first couple of times you assign it to a group of students, in which case don't choose Create with Google Classroom Assignment because it's not ready yet. You need to have it done first, then put it into Google Classroom. So we're going to take a look at that in a little bit as far as adding it to Google Classroom. And then the first time you go out to push this to Google Classroom, hold on one second. Okay, the first time you go to put this into Google Classroom, you do need to do it from when you click the extension, this gray screen comes up with these 4 blue buttons. You need to do it here first so that it can go find your Google Classrooms and bring them into Kami. After you do that, you will see that you have a special button in your Google Classroom to create Kami assignments right from there. And you won't need to use the blue button on this gray screen anymore. Hold on. The other cool thing is once you install Kami, and as long as you're signed in to that same account when you are online, if you happen to be online looking at stuff and you find a PDF that you want to do with your students, you will see a K in the right-hand corner anytime you're on a PDF. And if you hover over it, it expands out to say, open with Kami. And that means that you can, even if you just are browsing and looking for activities, you can start creating that assignment using the tools in Kami right away from the internet. It won't post to Google Classroom yet. You're just going to create the assignment and get it ready to post in a little bit. So you'll see this little K off in the right-hand side. And the nice thing also about Kami is this particular document, it says it's 50 geography activities. It's over 50 pages long. We're not posting a 50-page document into our Google Classroom. But Kami has a tool that you'll see a little bit later that lets you extract just the pages you want and make those into the activity. Once you find or open the PDF or take it from your publisher materials or however you found this PDF, and you open it with Kami, you're going to see the toolbar on the left. The top 2 things are a couple of accessibility tools. These are also, this is the same toolbar that your students will see as well. So the first one is a dictionary so that they can click on words in the text and get a definition. The second one is text to speech so that they can have the text read out loud to them. Yes, you will see a thing that says your trial is ending. They're giving you a free trial and it will give you that countdown for how much longer you have it. Beneath this are a series of tools for commenting and writing on the text. The first is markup. That's actually a highlighter. You'll be able to choose your color, and so will your students, and they can highlight. So you could actually say, highlight words in the text that describe the main character, for example. The second is a commenting tool. And as you'll see in a little bit, when you click there, it actually pops out on the right with additional menu items so that as the teacher, you can type a comment, record an audio comment, record a video comment, or do a comment called a screen capture That's really helpful, especially the first couple of times you assign a Kami assignment to your learners. You can actually record a little screen recording that shows them how to get the highlighter tool to work, how to use the drawing tool to circle something, and then it will save that little video recording of your voice and you using the tools so that they can play that back in order to know how to do the activity. So that's all under comment. There's also a text box feature, so you or your students could click anywhere. After they click text box, they can click anywhere on the text and start typing. So this is great for those publisher activities where there's space provided for students to write, but now they're not in the classroom with you and they're not writing on it physically. You can give them the text box, or they have the text box tool rather, and they can just click and type. There is an equation tool for typing equations in mathematics. If the equation requires multiple lines, my recollection is you just hit return and start a new and continue the rest of the equation. I do have a support video available for the math equations actually, and the text box tool. Drawing is what it sounds like. It's a drawing tool. It lets you pick the color of your pen and how big your line is, and then you can freehand draw. Shapes has 3 basic shapes: rectangle, circle, or triangle. Oh, and line. And then you can choose what color you want the line on the circle or the rectangle or the triangle to be. And then there's an eraser to erase the things that you've put on the page. Okay, so that's the toolbar that your students also get when they get their copy of the assignment. They get the toolbar as well. So that actually goes over what I said. So hold on a second. When you open up a PDF in Kami, and the same is, again, remember your students have the same tools, except that they won't have some of these tools in the upper right corner. But as far as the toolbar for writing and drawing and recording comments, they have this side. The students do not record video comments, and the students do not record screen capture comments. They can type, audio record, highlight, draw, insert shapes, do math, and so on. So when you open, your documents in the middle, your tools for annotating on the document are on the left, as well as your 2 accessibility tools. For teachers, you have the download button, which we'll be using later to save our finished activity either to Google Drive or to our hard drive. And then very important, you have 3 lines. That is actually kind of an international symbol for menu on a web page. So click the 3 lines. And this is where you get the feature that allows you to split out pages from a longer PDF so that you can use them as an activity. So this is one of the pages from that 50-page document. Actually, I split out 2 pages. All right, so that's what the menu key is. So the main ones I know you'll be using a lot are the download and possibly the menu. And download isn't just to your computer, as you'll see in a minute, but also to Google Drive. So as you see here, this is just the activity. Actually, this looks like it's still the information for the teacher, but a little bit later, there's part of the activity. You could say that you want to put a text box at the top. You could click comment and then put a comment to the right, kind of like in Google Docs or in Microsoft Word. If you're collaborating with someone and they leave comments for you, they appear in that right-hand margin. And again, when you click comments, as you'll see in a little bit, they could be text, but they could also be audio or video from the teacher or screen capture from the teacher. And they'll all live in this right-handed gray area off to the side of the document. Your students can also leave text and audio recorded comments. You also have, again, the equation tool and the drawing tool and so on. So you can mark up this document before you give it out to your students. So one of the things that I did, this is a sample activity. I downloaded this activity from the internet and then used it for a Kami practice activity. And you can see that there's a reading and then there's some questions where they're supposed to maybe circle the answer. And if you just threw that into Google Classroom, they'd have to print it out, circle it, take a picture, submit it back to you. Kami's going to let them circle right on there. At a point while you're editing, all of a sudden a pop-up will appear, especially the first time you do this. And it will say, hey, this file isn't uploaded. Do you want to save it to your drive? Because you're going to lose this if you don't save it. Don't just click save. Click always upload and then save. That way you will always be automatically saving to Drive every time you start a new activity. It will create the folder for you. You'll see in a moment. It creates folders for you for your uploads for Cami. So you don't even have to create it. As you can see now, I have started to type some text information. I've started to type some text information here on the right. I've even typed a little bit here. I actually chose the blue ink so it would look different from the rest of the text. And I've recorded an audio comment, again by choosing the comment feature and then selecting the microphone so that I could record that audio. The first time that you try to do that, it will ask for permission to use your microphone. So you will want to allow that. And a little bit later, if you start playing with the video and the screen capture, excuse me, especially the video, it will need permission for your video as well. I will state that when I did this last weekend, I ran into a couple of glitches getting the video part to work, and I had to do it a couple of times. So instead of doing the normal webcam, blah, 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 wants to use your camera and giving me my normal allow thing, I needed to click up here to the left of the address. You have a padlock. That's kind of like your little security thing on any site that you're on that has these features. You can click on that to tell your computer if you want to let that site use your camera, your microphone, and so on. Even when I clicked that, I still had to do it like 2 times before it finally took effect and I was able to record a video comment. So just know that it was a little trickier to get the video to work. Now that I've got it up, it works great, but it did take me like 2 tries to kind of keep going through the settings and convince it that, yes, I really do want Cami to have access to my video camera. When you're done editing and you've added whatever you want to add, whether you wanted to type, whether you wanted to make a screen capture comment to show the kids how to access the drawing tools that they'll need to circle their answer, whatever you want to do, once you're done, you're going to need to click that download button, because you need to save this version of it that has your annotations so that you can push that out to your kids. So once you click that, it gives you options. I believe it defaults to computer. So since I'm really focused on being able to do this in Google Classroom, I know it's not as helpful if it's on my computer. So I'm going to put it in my Google Drive. I'm going to save PDF with all annotations. And because my Google Drive is organized in folders and I don't want it just hiding somewhere where I don't know where it is, I'm going to select the destination folder in my Google Drive where I want this to live. So I used to have a folder for French 1, and then in there was a folder for Unit 1, and in there was a folder for Lesson 1 and Lesson 2. So I'm going to pick where this activity needs to live. We are going to experiment today with flattened annotations. So the first session I ran this morning, I did not check that box. And it turned out that the students who were the teachers in my session this morning were unintentionally able to accidentally delete all my instructions. And they were able to delete my comments because they could use the erase tool, and it was an annotation, so they could erase it. So they accidentally erased on their copy of it, they erased my audio instructions, or they erased my text box, or whatever they did. So flattened annotations should lock my things down kind of on a master so that it's all one PDF, and it looks like it's like a PDF again. Those are part of the PDF and you can't touch them. And that way you can just add your annotations on top of mine without accidentally erasing mine when you go to erase things you might have done on mistake. So we're going to test that today and see if it worked. It does say when you click the question mark for flattened annotations that it only works on comments, which would be those things in the right-hand margin, audio, video, screen share, or a text comment. So I'm not sure if it will also lock down the text box that I added, for example. We'll have to experiment today and see if you can delete my text boxes. Okay. And then if you want to do a screen share annotation so that you can demonstrate to your students in a little video right there in Cami how to use the drawing tool or whatever you want them to use, you're going to choose that screen share icon, and then it will prompt you that they have a separate extension that you need, but it's ready to add for you. It'll just click the button and it will add it to Chrome. And then you're going to have to try again to click that click that screen share area in order to record that. When you go into my student document today, you will see a screen share annotation ready for you if you'd like to watch it. So again, it's great for demonstrating how the tool works the first time they're going to see it. You click the comment icon, choose screen share, and then once you've installed the extension, you never have to do that again, but you might have to close the assignment and reload it in order for it to work. If you've been using Zoom for screencasting, you're going to have to click, you'll recognize this because when you screen share, you've seen this before. Hold on, please. So you click that and click share, and now it's going to record your voice and everything you do on that screen. And it'll save that as a little video that your students will find in the right-hand margin next to the document so that they can click and play it. Once you've done whatever you want to do to the PDF, you're going to assign your work. Please remember, you're not supposed to remember all of this. That's partially why you have the same exact slide deck, and you're going to have the recording of the video. So once you've got the PDF the way you need it so that your students can work on it, now's when you're going to start pushing it over to Google Classroom. And the first time you do that, you need to do it from the extension, that little K in your Chrome browser. And when that big gray screen opens up with the 4 blue buttons, you're going to say create Google Classroom assignment, and it will ask if you'd like to link Kami with Google Classroom. So it will prompt you again to choose your San Juan Google account so that it can find your classes and bring them in. You definitely want to accept when it asks you if you want Kami to have access. You need to say yes. And then you only have to do that once. Once you're in, you can also do it from Google Classroom, but not until you've done it from the extension screen. And I'll back out of here for a second and show you the slide where you can see it a little bit. When you click on the extension, it opens like this, and there's a gray screen with these 4 buttons. The first time you want to send it to Google Classroom, you need to click it from here. It won't show up in your Google Classroom area until you've done this step first, so that it can connect Kami to your Google Classroom account. So let's catch back up to where we were. Once you've done that, you can actually create your Kami assignment directly from Google Classroom with the create button on the classwork page. You will see a new option for Kami assignment. When you click that, it brings you to a page to create your assignment. It's similar to the normal assignment creation screen, but you'll notice that it's all laid out kind of in a vertical alignment instead of some things on the left for creating your assignment and then some pieces on the right. And you'll also notice that there are a few things that aren't possible that you normally can do in your Google assignment. For example, right now you can only select one class. But I will show you how you can then edit the assignment, open it back up and edit it to add additional classes and even add additional resources. So you're going to go ahead and edit your assignment. I have included these instructions on the resource document, but I highly recommend you include instructions the first time you assign Kami, maybe the second time, maybe the second time. Things that are like get the extension, open the assignment, click on the 3 dots in the upper right corner and choose open in a new window, and then click annotate with Kami. So it's gonna, those instructions in Google Classroom are gonna walk them through getting this thing to open so that they can actually have the toolbar. I recommend you include those instructions. I have put them in your support document for you. And then of course you need to find that Kami assignment that you created in your Google Drive or on your computer. So I'm gonna, once you have it from your Google Drive, the default is make a copy for each student. Please don't change that. That is unless you're sure you want, for example, all of them to edit your copy. So if you make it to where students can edit, then what happens is they're all editing your version of that Kami assignment all together. So the default, when they create it, they just set it up ahead of time to be each one gets their own copy that they type on. They don't type on anybody else's, and they don't type on mine. But if you do want to change that, just click here to change it. Hit assign. Starlight, can you click the participant button and mute all? And And then, thank you. And then when it's created, it will invite you to open in Classroom. This will let you see it. Remember, it's the teacher view. But the nice thing is now that it's here and you see that you have these things, the instructions I provided, there's 3 dots. Click on those if, for example, you wanted to add additional resources and you weren't able to before. But if you click on the 3 dots, it's fully editable and you can add additional links, files, resources. So I actually changed these instructions after I had made the screenshot and I realized that's silly. I can add a link that goes straight to the extension so that they can download it. You know, so I actually fixed that and then hit save. So that now what you have is my instructions, the assignment, and the link. Here's what's really cool. When you first click to do the assignment, and I don't think I saw it here, I think it might be just off my screen. There is a place here that also says include instructions to student. And it will put a 3rd link down here that's a file, a little document that the students can open that walks them through how to get Kami on their device. Okay. As I mentioned, it automatically adds folders to your drive. As soon as you save your first PDF in Kami, it creates a folder called Kami Uploads. As soon as you create your first assignment in Google Classroom, it adds a folder called Kami Assignments. You can leave them there. You can also pull the assignments out of there or the uploads and move them into different folders if you would like it organized differently. Okay, we're actually going to try this now. So what the first thing is that we're going to do, you're actually going to get a copy of this as a student, but remember that the toolbar is very much the same for students and teachers. The only difference is that teachers can also record video comments and teachers can record that screen recording comment. But students can type, students can draw, students can highlight, students can record an audio comment. So I have an activity ready for you where I've actually added some audio instructions. I've added a screen capture recording to show you how to use the tools. And we're gonna try it. So to do this, if you're comfortable having Zoom open.
Just one question, sorry, Nicole, before you move on. Dave did wonder about students and the facility of doing the download of the extension and frustration levels or concerns around that.
I'm sorry, I can't change how an extension is downloaded. They might need to get the support of their families. Unfortunately, they'll click on the link and it usually it's pretty easy. You sign in with Google and then it's installed. It's going to be the same process, David, that you saw. So I know you had a little bit of struggle with that today. And so hopefully a second time around we'll clear that up. And it may just be that we also need to talk to our students and our families about, you know, sometimes tech does not work as intended and it can help to try it one more time. But there isn't a simpler way. They do have to click the link and install the extension. On some of the managed Chromebooks, I believe Technology Services may have pushed out Kami. So that helps, but that only works for the devices the district owns. We can't push out things to people's private devices. We don't have a way to do that. So unfortunately, it's not a hard process, but I can't make it any easier because I don't have any control over how an extension gets downloaded. So what we're going to do is have you, if you're able to go in, have Zoom open so you can still hear the audio, and some of you know how to have like 2 screens open if you want to see me and see your screen. If you're in full screen, you may need to hit escape, or because I'm screen sharing, you might need to find the green bar either at the bottom or top of your screen that has my meeting ID. To the right of it, it might say view options, and if you click on that, it might allow, it has an option rather that says escape or exit full screen, so that you can have Zoom open, but also find your internet again. And what we're going to do is we're going to join my class that's just called practice class in Google Classroom. So the way you join your classes, the easiest way is to go to Portal, click on Google Classroom, or use the magnifying glass to search for Google Classroom. And then don't open your classes, because what I need you to do is join mine. So you're going to click on the plus, choose join class, and then you're going to type in the code, and we'll put it in the chat for you as well. Oh, I thought I crossed out the code. That was silly. I can't read my own code. Hold on a second. Where's my slide deck?
Regina put the code in already, so thank you, Regina.
Oh, thank you. And I'm going to copy and paste it in my case. So you would type the code in, B6ZVH2B. And I can tell I've had about 11 students more join so far. I had about 51 in the first group this morning. So thank you. Once you put the code in, that will allow you to have access to my activity. So again, go to Portal, click on the Google Classroom tile, click on the plus in the upper right corner, choose join, paste the code, or type the code, sorry. Well, you might be pasting it actually. You could copy it out of the chat. B6ZVH2V. And I really appreciate you doing this because it's kind of a heavy lift. So now I'm asking you to have your Zoom still open and have the internet open, but I think it definitely was helpful this morning. So I was glad I did it. I think it will be very helpful to you to actually interact with a document. Again, if you're having trouble getting out of full screen in Zoom, you might look either at the very top or bottom of the Zoom window. You might see a green bar with my meeting ID. To the right of that, it should say view options. And then if you click on that, it says exit full screen so that you can see what's on your computer again and find your internet. Now, remember, you do have to have installed the extension. So when you go to Google Classroom, look to the right, because if you don't have the extension, this won't work, right? You won't be able to do what we're doing. If you're not comfortable joining us in the Google Classroom, you'll still be able to see it from my screen. So you can feel free to observe from my screen and just kind of watch the process. So we're going to go into my practice class. I know Starlight will still be in the chat to help people who weren't quite able to get into the classroom and would like to try. The assignment is here in the stream. I also have it organized on my classwork page, but if you see, we want to do the version 2, please, because this is where we're testing that ability to lock down my teacher annotations so that you can't accidentally delete them. So we're going to test that in real time and see if it worked. So please use version 2, V2, the first assignment right there in the stream, or in classwork. It is also the first assignment. It's going to look slightly different for me, but do note I gave you some instructions and they're pretty important. For example, after you install the extension, you need to click on the view assignment, or click on the PDF, and watch what's going to happen. For those of you who can see my screen, it opens with this black bar around it and it doesn't look like Kami at all. Most of you won't see the open with Kami at the top yet. Instead, you need to click the 3 dots, and this is in my instructions to students. Click the 3 dots, choose open in a new window. And then mine says open with Kami when I get to the top. Oh, good, now it says annotate. Then you choose annotate with Kami. So you do want to annotate with Kami, otherwise you don't get the toolbar. So let me back up a step for you and show you that again. In classwork, or in Google Classroom, you click on the activity itself. It's going to open with this black bar around it, this whole black window, and you don't see the toolbar. If you see open with Kami, grab it, that's fine. But most of you won't see that. You'll need to click on the 3 dots in the upper right corner, choose open in a new window. And then from there, you will need to go to the top again, choose open with, and then annotate with Kami. Now you're all opening your individual copy of this assignment, and we'll actually get to look at how that looks in Google Classroom for the teacher once you get those assignments turned into me. So I'm going to give you a couple minutes to play with this, because as you'll see in a moment, where's my comments? Interesting. Okay, so well, that flattened it completely. I am kind of disappointed because all my cool comments went away when I chose flatten annotations. So we're going to back up a step. I am no longer a fan of flattening the annotations. Just tell your kids not to delete your comments. Let's back up a step because I know you might want to see some of those other kinds of comments I did. What we're going to do, interesting that they're not here. What we're going to do is back out of this. If you would like to hear or watch any of the video comments I left, go back into Google Classroom, into classwork. Sorry, let me get it to reload. Okay, hold on a second. Get it to reload. And there's a second version of this assignment, the one from this morning, where we didn't choose flatten the annotations. So the students were able to accidentally delete my comments. That one's just called Sample Cami. It's the second assignment, and in the stream, it is also the second post. If you click on that one, let me get that open for you. For those of you who are observing rather than trying it out, we're gonna do sample. I'm gonna hit open with Cami because that works, but you may need to hit the 3 dots. Here we go. And then when it opens, there we go. So flatten annotations took away my beautiful audio and video comments, and that made me sad. Take a couple of minutes. If you would like, you can play the audio comment. I think it's just me giving audio directions for what to do with this first part of text. It kind of matches what I have in the text box. I have a screen capture video that shows you how to use the tools. And then I have a second audio for the second part of the instructions. So take a couple of minutes. I'd like you to actually try playing with this document a little bit, because then I'll show you in Google Classroom what happens when your students turn it in. And I'll be monitoring the chat while you do that. Oh, you know what? While you're working on this, I'll go dig into the answer to the question Julie asked, because I don't know the answer to that. We'll go look and see how much it costs. Cami.
I did it already, Nicole. Sorry. It's $99 or custom pricing.
Right. And the custom pricing would be if you're trying to kind of put like multiple teachers or multiple schools onto a license. And that's $99 for the year, Starlight?
For the year. That's what it
Oh,
seems.
you did get it.
150 student cap.
Thank you. Ooh, that's tight for high school.
Yeah, it's doable though.
Yeah. I just know we've raised our contacts. So for high school, I think it's 165.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. Yeah. So
there was some fair usage language. So.
Nice. Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, I'm going to give you another, had a request for name of classroom. Cami practice class, not urgent. Oh, yeah, I hadn't changed it. This was actually just a class I've been using. Sorry, I'm glad you brought that up, actually. Someone had requested that I change the name of the class. I haven't had anyone join it until today, specifically for Cami. It was actually the class I've been using for my Google Classroom demos. And so when I do live demonstrations, they didn't come in as students, but I was showing in real time how to create assignments, how to adjust your settings, and so on. So thank you. I hadn't changed the name because it was actually just, it never had people in it until today. And it was actually set up before today just for the purposes of live demonstrations. But I might do that. I might just create a Cami class. All right. I'm going to give you about 1 more minute, and then I'm going to pull up some assignments so that you can see what we see as the teacher. So remember in Google Classroom that you can access student work either by clicking on an assignment from your classwork page and choosing student work, or by going into the gradebook. So since we're already right here, I'm just going to click on student work. When we do that, it's going to, anytime now, there we go. It's going to show me how many people have turned it in. 18 have turned it in, 52 aren't done yet, and I gave feedback to one person this morning. Now, what you'll notice is that it's actually in real time, meaning that if I happen to click on one while you happen to be editing it, I'd be able to see what you're doing in real time. So I'm going to click on, I remember from this morning, if I can find Melissa, I know that she actually had some work on hers. She took hers out. Now I'm sad I didn't go to the gradebook to do this because I could have hand selected the students that way. Well, let's see. We're going to click on a random student and see if they have something on there. So it will open here. Now it will once again open in that kind of big PDF window, and I could put a grade here and I can put some comments. This student has circled a word for me, and I could just put a grade, put some comments, and return it. However, if you choose open with and then annotate with Cami, oh, sorry, my keychain keeps acting up. If you annotate with Cami, it will now open up this student's work with my toolbar so that I won't be able to demonstrate microphone comments, by the way, because I'm already using my microphone for Zoom and it freaks out. But I would be able to click on comment, choose text, microphone, or video, or even the screen capture. So I'm going to click on text, and I can highlight that word. Oops, I can highlight that word, and then it opens up a new text box for me. Or if you click on the microphone, good job. I really like how you noticed the most important word of that question, period. So if you'd like, you can use voice typing to very quickly add your comments. It actually does a good job. In fact, if I had told it exclamation point and punctuated, it would have done that for me. So that is, you could type the comment or use voice typing. You can, again, do an audio comment if you prefer, a video comment, or even a screen capture comment. You can also choose what kind of color the highlighting of your comment will appear in. Sorry, it's having trouble highlighting right now. Okay, so that when it shows up, it could have a different color background and so on. But you have all the tools, and the way I did that was to click on the student's work, and then when I clicked on it to look at it, it opens in kind of this PDF view where I can click on these audio comments actually if I want to. But I can't really interact with the document. But if I choose open with and then choose annotate with Cami, it will open this student's work with my toolbar. And when the student then checks this document again, they will have access to all of my comments. So then I could still put a grade here and return it to my student with the, with the comments. And when they go back in, they'll have that in Google Classroom and in the gradebook in Google Classroom. But if they open up their document again, they'll have my comments. So I would recommend in the private comments, if you do choose to do that, that you let the student know, great work, please open up your document to see my feedback, right? And now they'll know, oh, I need to open it again with Cami and go find out what my teacher had to say. So I'll show you that one more time with one other student's work. Let's find someone else who says they turned it in. Yeah, we're going to discard. Okay. Remember, it opens like this first, where I could put a grade and a private comment, and I can listen to my own audio comments again if I'd like. So notice how this student actually circled some answers for me and then typed some words on the bottom. So I'm going to open with Cami so I can interact directly with my student's work. And once it opens and I have my toolbar available, I can go down and look at their text box tool, right, where they typed their responses. and I can now type a comment. Let me get it to, it looks like I'll have to choose something other than their text box. Notice now there's kind of a purple dot. That dot is kind of this icon that says, hey, there's a comment here. And so adjectives you used. Okay, and so now I've left this comment for my student. The student could reply to me. It is a fully functioning comment feature, so your student could come back in and reply to these comments. I could use the tools myself over here and actually draw on or type on the document. I can also kind of move this dot so that it appears where I want it to be, but this dot is kind of the symbol that you have some kind of comment here. Here's another dot that corresponds to the screen capture comment I left. Here's another dot, it corresponds to my audio comment, and so on. So those dots are actually a marker that tells the students, oh, that's the comment that goes with it. And notice when I clicked on it, all the other comments got grayed out so that I could really draw out the one comment that was attached to that dot. Okay. All right, let's see if we have any more questions. I hope that went smoothly or relatively smoothly for those of you who went ahead and tried to get into the document and work with it. Remember that you have almost exactly the same toolbar. My recollection or my understanding is that as the student, you don't have the video comment or the screen capture comment, but you should be able to type your own comments, select a word and add a comment in the margins just like I did if you wanted. Notice that you can type instructions. I think it might be helpful to type and provide audio instructions. That's why I have my little dot kind of associated with the box where the typed instructions are. I hope that that was helpful in terms of seeing what to do. And then back in the slide deck, the only things you have left here, and this may change obviously because I'm still working on this, but you'll have the latest version every time you click on it, and same with the resource document. You do have the steps for connecting students to your license, but it's pretty easy. The students just have to have the Kami extension. You create the assignment and it will automatically recognize them as being attached to your account so that they get the toolbar. And then you have some help resources there, which are the same ones I put in your resource document. So it's just a parallel match. So how did I do? I'm a little over. Oh, 1 minute. So I can take a couple more questions before I have to go because I do have another training at 2:30.
We don't have any other comments, to me at least. You might have